Edition of the vlog here, Culotta The Prince, recapping today's show. We invited the boss man over to get his thoughts. Now that Coach Orgeron and Coach Steele out on the road for a week now, we tried to call Coach O for his 7:30 segment, got his voicemail, ended up hooking up with his boss, Joe Oliva. He's ecstatic to have him on staff, now in Baton Rouge. Just your thoughts now that it's kind of settled in and these two guys are now representing LSU on the recruiting trail.
Well, first off, I heard your voice. You got Ed's voicemail. If you guys could find a way to tape a conversation between Steve Ensminger and Ed Orgeron, that would be gold. That would go platinum. Just, get two guys from South Louisiana.
Efforting?
So go for that. But here's what I'll tell you, is that I think obviously a lot of excitement with Ed Orgeron. Be interested to see what he does, and I'm sure he'll have an impact this year. And I think Kevin Steele is a good recruiter, but I'm looking forward to the spring. Right. Because Kevin Steele he's played, he's been in a lot of systems, 3-4, 4-3. LSU's talent that they have on the roster really suits a 4-3, especially those defensive ends. Yeah. You got some defensive ends that are in the 230 to 250 range that are too light to kick down, and I think are a little bit of a question mark if you put them at outside linebacker in space, and how would they be able to backpedal and things of that nature. So I'm interested to see what he does. We've
talked about it. Orgeron's great. Steele coming in to replace Chavis, nice hire. But the story of the offseason is the quarterback development, right?
No, it still comes back to the quarterback. And, let's again, I keep saying this, and it keeps falling on deaf ears. But my 2 cents, at some point, I think you need to move your offensive philosophy a little bit away from the pro style, and I know you had success with it, and you move halfway or some sort of hybrid based off what these kids have played in high school, and both of them variations of the spread in the pistol, simplify what they're doing. And I think they moved towards that against A&M and Notre Dame. You saw that zone read package with the jet sweep, and so that'll be something to watch in spring ball.
Gordy, we talked a little bit about, with Kevin Steele, some of the things that we were looking at, hopefully seeing differently. One of those is LSU last year, 19 sacks, but third in the nation in pass defense, which means that with very little pressure, these guys were really good there. Do you expect Kevin Steele's going to add some more pressure to this situation, or is it going to be more, hey, we've got great cover guys, we're just going to put them all out there and you can stop them that way?
I think he's got to add more pressure. You've got to, and he talked about it, you've got to keep people behind the chains on first down, and I think he's going to be more aggressive on first down a little bit. Question is, how does he get there? His reputation has been bringing outside linebackers, and there's some question marks at linebacker, and you've got all these great athletic defensive ends, M.J. Patterson, DeAndre Clark, Tayshawn Bauer. How do you utilize them? So it'll be some sort of hybrid, but it'll be fun to watch.
All right, Vice President, Market Manager here at Guarantee Broadcast Company, a part of the LSU Sports Radio Network. He's got managers waiting on him. Thanks for the time. We'll wrap up the podcast. You got it.
It's great to be on the vlog.
Vlog. Thank you.
See, here's the thing. Our boss, Gordy Rush, said that blogging is very important, so we decided to incorporate Gordy into our vlog. So
very smart business by you and I. I thought other smart business that you and I made today was including Ronald Dupree in our show, talking about LSU Florida this afternoon. Dupree, a former Tiger player, spent some time in the NBA across seas, playing a lot of basketball, a great basketball mind and resource for Johnny Jones and his staff. He previewed the Florida matchup that you can catch on the podcast at 1045ESPN.com. Tough task for those guys at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, really tough task for those guys. This is another one of those deals where you and I, people are probably tired of hearing me say the word maturity. But let's see how mature they are. This was a team that last week, midweek, they went to Tad Coleman Coliseum and at Ole Miss and won a game there. Come back to Baton Rouge, have a double-digit lead that they had multiple times that they can extend that lead and didn't do it. End up losing the game. Let's see where this team's at right now. Should be very interesting to watch this afternoon.
Caught up with Joe Oliva, LSU Athletics Director and Vice Chancellor at 7:30 this morning. Filled in for Coach O, who the past 22 weeks had been in that slot. What was the biggest thing that you took away from our conversation with Oliva?
Well, it's interesting to talk about the NCAA changes. He wasn't at the press conference announcing Steele and Orgeron because he was in D.C. at the NCAA convention. That cost of attendance thing is kind of big because now if you're recruiting a kid in Chicago or in Los Angeles or in Cincinnati or wherever else that you're going out there, a market like that to recruit him, you can put in the cost of attendance, some of the travel money to get that guy back and forth a couple of times during the school year. I think that's huge.
What would you think of his response to the possible addition of a 10th coach to the coaching staff for football? I thought he'd be all for it. He was a little reserved.
Yeah, he was, and honestly, I think that when you look big picture here, I think a lot of the athletic directors are going to be against it. When you look at the escalating salaries in college football, adding one guy, you're talking about a couple of $100,000 more expenses into your program. It's not as simple as just saying, hey, you know what, we have some money, let's put it in there. A lot of these universities, they operate, the university side operates from a situation where they get some money from athletics, or some of these athletics will get money from the university side. They're not all self-sustaining like LSU is, so I think you have to look at the big picture there.
Early morning news for the New Orleans Saints, making a couple of moves on the defensive side of the ball in the scouting department.
Yeah, the Dennis Allen coming back as a special defensive assistant, and then Jeff Ireland being hired in the personnel department. I like those two hires.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's pretty good for the Saints, and look, this is a team that a lot of people picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. They didn't make the playoffs. So I think some qualified guys like that, a guy who last year was an NFL head coach and a guy who last year was an NFL general manager, bringing those in to help the existing structure, I think it's really good.
Check out Coach O's voicemail on our podcast today at 1045ESPN.com. We vlog every day right here that you can catch right here on this site. You can follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Join us for Culotta and the Prince. For Derek Panamsky, I'm Jordy Culotta. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.